So tell me, what would you have done at that time, Billy, with the Toronto Maple Leafs when you had Wendell Clark and Gary Leeman and Rick Vaive, strong presence on the ice? You would have built the whole team around them, right? First thing you've done, went and got a serious goalie and built your defense?
Well, any retrospective analysis is always a fairly accurate one, but by then the team had been dismantled, and they were starting to rebuild, and that's when they had 8 consecutive years where they picked in the top 8 in the draft. And they mismanaged that whole project, whether it was the coaching staff or whether it was the general manager. Letting Jim Gregory go, and I don't want to dwell on it, but that is where Harold got meddling and should never have touched it. However, that was Harold's prerogative. He owned the team. But once that happened, it took almost another decade before they got Harold out of there. Wow. And that's when they started to rebuild with Steve Stavro, and all of a sudden the playoffs become a possibility. But if you had the hockey players that I broadcast in the 80s, and that Ricky and I was an agent for him as well, and a lot of others, that group, put that on the 90 Leafs, on the 93 Leafs, and with a coach like Burns or a coach like Quinn, I can tell you one thing. There would have been a Stanley Cup in Toronto. That's all I will say.
Perry, before we go to break, what do you have to add to what Billy just said?
He's absolutely correct. I mean, the teams that do well have ownerships that don't meddle. You have an owner like Harold Ballard. I said it before. And Rick, I was going to ask you before, did you ever have to go into treatment but have to wait for Harold Ballard to get his toenails clipped?
He used to get his feet rubbed by our trainer, so he had to wait in line.
I mean,
I read that. I thought that was a joke. Is that true? That he used to use up the player's time with the trainer for his own use?
Don't forget the greatest one of them all. He used to have T.C. Puck, who has been frozen and still has not been buried. He had the team picture taken with T.C., and by the time Harold had all his friends in, T.C.'s testicles were frozen to the ice.
Remember that.
The players had to wait till Tommy, who still works at MLS, came with the hot water and gave TC a little touch and got him moving. Otherwise, he could have been in trouble. But that's Harold. He did whatever he wanted. Didn't matter a goddamn about the players.
Never a dull day at the Gardens, that's for sure.